So today I'm here with Jess Morales from Montreal, and we are going to be making her famous sourdough bread that I've been seeing so much of and salivating. So I'm trying to make my own. I got the starter and I couldn't figure out.
And then you killed it. It's okay.
Oh
my first starter, I totally starved to death and it died as well. It was very complicated and very confusing to me, but now that I realize how to do it, it's actually pretty easy. So I'm going to walk you through like all the steps. First thing, a scale. Like that makes all the difference, actually. Right. So it's like, it's not our style, Allison. We are very intuitive bakers, right? We're just like, oh, I'll add a little of this, a little of that, da, da, da. Sourdough doesn't really like that much. Maybe if you're like mega pro, you can do it, but you need to have the kitchen scale. Okay. So that really.
Where do you buy a scale? I don't even know.
I think Shane just got it online.
Okay. All right,
Any kitchen store.
Okay.
I think they even sell them at like the pharmacy.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, it's just a regular kitchen scale, nothing fancy. Okay, so the first step to your sourdough is you have to have a starter. Okay. So if you have a friend, comme moi, maybe she'll be generous and give you some more. So this is what's gonna this is like takes in the yeast from the atmosphere, kind of. You made a little like environment for it to grow, a cozy home for it. The yeast come and just build their home here, and that's what makes all the nice bubbles.
It looks a lot healthier than
So I fed this one last night. I usually feed it every 24 hours because I bake quite regularly, but you can also keep it in the fridge and just feed it once a week. Okay. So first I'll show you how to feed it. Okay. Okay, so I use these on rotation. Okay. Which is glasses. You put your thing on the scale, zero it, and then you're gonna add in your 30 grams of water. So this is just, this is boiled water. Okay. Because you don't want to use straight tap water because of the chlorine. The chlorine tends to kill the yeast.
So boiling the water will kill the chlorine?
I boil it and then I leave it on the counter. Okay. So when you leave things on the counter, the chlorine kind of dissipates.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or in the fridge or anything. Just leave it still and then it's going to go away. Okay, so I put 35. I always do too much. It's like a little bit of a 28.
Precisely 30.
Yeah. That should be about 30.
Yeah,
30 on the dot. Okay. And then you're going to put in 30 of your flour. So I get these like ginormous bags from Costco because I bake so much.
Amazing.
So this is organic flour.
Look at that. Regular. You guys see that? This is the way to live as, this is baby steps to zero waste right here.
It is. And it's a paper bag so you can use it in your compost bin later.
Amazing. That's like, wow, this is the biggest bag of flour I've ever seen.
They sell them even bigger if you're a bakery. Wow. So I'm going to zero it again because I don't like doing math too early in the morning. Okay. So zero it again and then add in your 30 of flour. Okay. So we'll just, usually I usually take this flour in a different jar so that I don't have to carry this huge flour, but 28.
So equal parts water and flour.
Yeah. I try and keep it a little bit small, my starter, because I don't want to have so much discard. Okay. All right. And then...
It went to 31, does it matter?
Yeah, that's okay. So 30. I mean, it's probably better if you're exact, but I'm not really an exact kind of person. Okay, so then you take your starter, that's from yesterday, and you just kind of give it a little mix. You can see it's really nice and bubbly.
Yes, that looks healthy.
And then you're going to take a 10 of this.
Okay.
So we'll see how much this is. 13.
That's fine.
I'll take a little tiny bit up there.
Perfect.
Okay. So anything left over in here kind of becomes your discard, but we're gonna actually make a dough today, so we're gonna keep this. Yay. I'm not gonna discard it. And then this is for a future dough. So sometimes
it's like the gift that keeps on giving, really, right?
Yeah. Once you have your starter, there are people who have starters that are hundreds of years old.
I've heard that before. Yeah. It's like Eastern European family lines. There's ones that go for like through their family for hundreds of years.
Yeah. And you can they're pretty hardy. So long you feed them good, when they're active.
That is so cool.
They're pretty hardy. So you just give it a really good mix, aerate that. And so this is going to be for future breads. Okay, and then I just cover with a cloth.
Okay, cool.
So bye-bye, that's a starter. And then if you're going to actually make your bread, you're going to use your starter, that's your yeast. And you're going to start the day like 2 days before, kind of.
Okay.
Before you actually want to eat a slice of bread.
So this takes 2 days preparation.
Yeah, it takes some organizing, but once you get in the habit of it, it just becomes like normal. Like, so I knew that you guys were gonna come today. I started it last night before I went to bed. Okay, so then you're gonna make your sponge for your bread. Okay, so basically it's like making a big starter. Okay. Instead of just a little tiny bit, you're gonna use a big one. So I'm gonna put my little bowl on my scale and zero it. Now you're gonna put 135 of water.
Where did you learn this?
Much. Oh, so I took a little course on Sourdough Schoolhouse. She's like an Ontario-based baker, and she taught me the ways. Wow. So it's her recipe, actually. Okay, 134, that's good. Okay, so 134, and then we're gonna do 134 of flour.
Okay.
So again, like equal, that's... It's so much easier when you're like in person, right? To explain this.
I need it in person. I'm a big visual learner, so I have to be physically doing it to even, like if you had just told me these things. Yeah. You told me a whole bunch of stuff, and then I got home, like I had it with me, and I'm like...
Even just feeding the starter. Yeah. Like, even just feeding the starter, I totally screwed that up the first time, because what I was doing was like just adding more flour and water every time and feeding it like that, and then I was getting so much starter, and all the proportions go out of whack. So I like totally messed that up the first time. I didn't realize like you can just take out 10 and then that becomes discard, right?
Perfect. Oh.
Was perfect. Oh. It was perfect. Then I messed it up. Okay, so 135 of that. We're gonna zero it again, and now we're gonna add 27 of our starter. So this is just the starter from before, remember? So usually I have just enough in here to like make a dough and have a starter.
Perfect.
We'll see how much. Oh, 27! Wow! Okay, so I have a little bit left in this. This is going to become my discard, which I keep in the freezer in a container. And then when I want to like make pancakes or waffles or crackers,
wow, look at that collection.
Stuff, yeah, I just, so you can see that I like, I don't know if you guys can see, I just keep adding, and then it freezes. And then when I want to make something, so usually by the end of the week, I have like a cup or so, or a little bit more than a cup, and that's like a perfect amount to make pancakes on the weekend or whatever. And
or
it's
those
like
crackers that I love.
Or you can make crackers.
Those crackers. You have to show me how to make those crackers, because that could be a whole other time, because those crackers are addictive and delicious.
I had half of mine to take my discard out and let it thaw so that we could do the crackers, but I thought I don't want to overwhelm you. With too much stuff. We'll do that another time.
Okay, we'll do that a whole other time. Well, once I get good at this, then we'll have to come over and learn the
some
crackers.
People don't even ever bake the bread. So actually here, Allison, you can mix that around.
Sure.
So give that a good mix. Don't even ever bake the bread. They just always use the starter, because the starter is really good for you too, it has all that natural.
So what are some things besides, so you say pancakes, crackers, what are some other things you could do with the starter?
You can make cakes. There's an awesome vegan chocolate cake recipe from Zero Waste Chef that I made. You can add it to muffins. You can add it to like basically
And what are some of the health benefits of it?
So I think the thing is, like, because it's a slow ferment, it's basically fermented, and anything fermented, it's helping your gut health. Yeah. Right? And because it's such a slow process, and I think like the gluten has more time to like develop or break down or something like that. Like even people who are gluten intolerant can often eat sourdough. It's a lot easier on their system to digest.
Because it's already been digested, right?
Yeah,
like it digests itself.
Yeah, it took a long time. Like we usually leave it in the fridge for 12 hours. So it had all that time to like, for the yeast to eat their things and break things down and make a dough. Whereas when you have commercial yeast, it's totally different because that rises so quickly. In like an hour, you can bake your bread sometimes, right? Or 3 hours, depending on what you do. So. All right, so that's all mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you would do that and then you leave it overnight. So usually if I want to make a bread eventually, I'll make this at night before I go to bed. So this is done now, and then I'll show you what it looks like in the morning. And if you forget to like save some of your starter, usually there's like usually 10 left that you can use. But I always am worried, so I always save some of my starter. But you could just take a little bit from your sponge to keep your starter going, you know. Anyways, okay, so then what we would do is put the cover on and you just leave it on your counter somewhere.
Amazing.
To rise for the next day. Okay, and then, but since I knew you were coming, this is what it looks like the next day.
Wow,
okay,
it looks alive. It's all bubbly. You can see that.
It's all bubbly and spongy, and now this is what we're going to use to make our bread.
Amazing.
Okay, so now we're going to make our bread. So I'm going to put my bowl on the scale. Aren't these so awesome bowls? Like vintage.
They're vintage, yeah.
Pyrex. I got them at the thrift store.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to put in, so we should have, what is the recipe for this? 270. You should have 270 of the sponge. So let's see. About. Usually it makes a little bit more. So I'm going to get that. Look how
nice that is. Wow, that looks so good. Have you noticed that as you go, you're just getting better and better?
I think it is a learning curve. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But now that I actually have a recipe, it's a lot easier. Because I was just kind of making it however I wanted before. I was like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna like do it eyeball things. Okay, so 271, that's good. So see, there's like a little bit left. Yeah. You probably could use that to build your new starter if you really needed to, but we have enough. Okay, so we have 270, and then we're going to add 550 of water.
Okay.
Just like regular water.
Have to rewatch this video many times.
550. We're gonna zero it, and then we're adding in 900 grams of flour. So this will be enough to make 2 doughs, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So get our scoop and just keep adding. Keep adding. You're short like me. I have all these like step stools so I can like.
That's a big bag of flour, and I love that it's all organic. That's like really cool because I mean, like wheat. Wheat is one of the most heavily sprayed things, so it makes it even better than store bought. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, as soon as
so 900, you said
900.
Oh, okay, so that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, a lot. It makes enough for 2 doughs.
Okay.
So we'll mix it up and then we'll split it in half, and then you can have one and I can have one.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, as soon as I had no idea about glyphosate on the wheat and stuff, and when you told me that and I started researching it more, I was like, oh my god.
I know. I used to think
I made the switch right away to only getting organic.
Yeah, I used to think organic was just a gimmick to make to charge more. I really had no, growing up, I feel like we probably grew up like similarly, where it's like that was just not even an importance at all. We didn't understand why.
Yeah, no. Especially for things like wheat.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'm usually a huge mess with flour. 91? Can you do it? 901, that's good.
Okay.
Good.
I'm sorry.
Perfect. It's okay. Yeah. I'm always make a huge mess. Flour is like my nemesis. It's always all over the place.
I'm sure you're baking a lot of these breads, so.
Yeah, it's just like there's always flour everywhere. So basically we're gonna just stir this up.
Okay.
And then we leave it rest for 30 minutes. And then after that, you're gonna add in another 25 grams of water. So just a little bit more water and 20 grams of salt.
Okay.
So you add that in. So you just give it a chance to rest, and you're gonna see how even after that, like 30 minutes, the dough totally changes. It's cool. the next dose. Yeah, so what we leave it for 30 minutes. We add in the rest of the ingredients, which is the salt and the remaining little bit of water. And then every hour for 4 times, you're going to stretch and fold.
Wow.
So we'll be able to do the first one together probably.
Okay.
Well, because we'll fold in all the salt, right? So you do that for 4 hours. So you kind of need to plan your day. So
I can
on
see
a day
that.
You're at home, or like you're running errands, but you're going to be back every hour to just like stretch and fold your dough a little bit. It helps it, or you could just leave it to rise. You could just leave it to rise and just do that once, but it's better if you have the time to pay attention to it.
Well, people now sitting at home, I mean, most people are at home more now, so it's a good time to be making
like
bread.
If you're working at home, you could totally get this part done, early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then, just set your alarm for an hour and it takes 2 seconds to just fold it. You know?
This is the perfect thing to do for people who work at home.
Yeah. And it's so much healthier for you. And it's plastic free.
It's also very therapeutic. I've heard
is.
making bread I'm feeling it now already.
Yeah, it's a bit meditative.
Yeah.
Like you just, it's nice. It's nice to work.
And are typically, I know you're mostly plant-based now, but are typically sourdough breads plant-based, or you had to adapt it to be?
No. So, typically I would say your standard one is vegan.
Really? Cool.
So there are some other recipes, I followed a recipe the other day which was for a honey oat loaf. Mm-hmm. So that one had honey, which is not vegan.
But that's just kind of an addition where it's not part of the... And
it also had milk, but for that one I just used soy milk or whatever milk I had, and it worked just fine. Okay. So, yeah, and you can use maple syrup for the sweetener if you don't like honey. So there's always super easy to just adjust it. But for the most part, all my bread recipes were easy to just make vegan because I just swapped out the milk. And if they call for butter, I just put olive oil in it instead. So it's very easy. So you'll stretch and fold it for 4 hours, and then once you do that, you'll see the dough really, really changes its structure. And then you'll put it in the fridge. So I just cover mine with a wet cloth. I can't wait to see this. And then put it in the fridge. So this is what it looks like after. This is going to turn into this. So we'll take a look. I didn't look at it this morning, but
oh, that looks so good.
Okay, so it's totally different. Yeah. So we'll divide this into 2, and then we can shape it. We'll just put this stuff
beautiful. Away. You can feel it. Feel it made with love and good stuff. It just looks
all
healthy.
Good vibes. All good vibes in the bread. No factory made stuff.
Yeah, well, this is another amazing. Also, I mean, just making your own bread is a savings in plastic because it's hard to find.
And a savings in cost. Yeah. Sourdough at our bakeries where I used to get it goes for sometimes $6 to $7 a loaf.
Wow.
And at first I was like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. But actually, when you think about all the time that goes into making it, it makes sense.
Absolutely, I would if you would see it takes a whole day. I mean, really.
Yeah. But
and the preparation.
The bakery's doing it a lot. So it's part of their thing. But if they're not
people aren't going to do it on their own if they are, not.
But if you work it out, it probably costs. I don't know with the organic flour now that I buy, but when I worked it out before, it cost 50 cents.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
And now that I don't buy
yeast. And you get it fresh.
Actually, even with the organic flour, because I don't buy yeast, that was the calculation with commercial yeast, with dry active yeast. Now that I don't buy yeast, that saves you a lot of money there.
That's amazing. That's really amazing because it's true when you're buying bulk your size of flour, you divide it by each loaf. I mean, it's
and when you're making it yourself, you're not eating it all the time.
Yeah.
If you when we run out of bread, we just run out of bread. We don't have bread for that day.
Yeah.
So it's better for us because it tastes good, but it's not the best thing that you could be eating.
No, it's definitely good to have your own homemade though, and every ingredient that goes in there. The love put in because that makes a big difference even. And then you also get your own home fresh right out of the
Oh,
oven.
there's nothing like it. Yeah, there's nothing like it. When you get used to eating freshly made bread out of the oven, you're like, never could go back to that like crappy white bread. And
when I lived in Europe, no. When I lived in Europe, I couldn't even go back to eating bread here again for a while because I was like, the bread in Europe was just so much. I lived in Hungary for a bit, and it was just like all about the bread.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So good.
And you know, that's another like really interesting thing. It's like bread was such a staple in our human diets for so long, and but we never heard about people being gluten intolerant before.
No,
that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing even when I was a kid.
No, it was only since glyphosate.
Do you want to use a knife to just
Sorry. My hands are clean. Yes. But yeah, definitely we don't hear about it in Europe because they actually have a lot stricter regulations. But in the US, it's rampant. Everyone has food allergies.
Yes.
So that's another thing just to do with Jared got rid of his food allergies just doing a gut repair and removing the glyphosate out of his, at least like a good amount of it out of his body. All the things he was intolerant to, he could handle again. So a lot of things people don't realize there's solutions, to cleansing it out and to making better choices in our diet that we don't have to suffer needlessly with these.
And we don't have to pass on those problems down as well.
Should I stretch it? Or
no, that's perfect. That's good. Yeah,
okay.
I'll just give it like a little to free up the stuff on the sides. Yeah, just so you're just trying to like incorporate all the. Don't eat that. It's not ready yet, Allison. Yeah, so you see the dough is really pretty ugly. It's not nice looking at all, but we're gonna let that rest, and then it's gonna be a lot nicer after.
You're beautiful. Yeah. Don't listen to her. You're beautiful.
You're gonna be. It's like the ugly duckling story. You're gonna be beautiful. All right, so I just got a cloth. I'm just gonna wet it. Okay. I buy like the sea salt, so it's not like already grounded up, so I have to ground up. Okay, that should be okay. Okay, so then you have, about 25. It's 28, but it's okay. Now we're gonna mix the salt and water in. So you can just plop it all in there. And then we're gonna work this in. So yeah, you can just get your hands right in there and just like really work it in. Okay. And just really squeeze. So you see how it's more stretchy now?
Yeah.
Like the...
Really coagulates or whatever the word is.
Yeah, like the bonds developed or whatever, the gluten bonds. So now it's a lot more stretchy. It's already looking better, and it's only been 30 minutes. So yeah, just super work it in there.
This is so much fun. Do your kids love this?
Yes. Oh my gosh, they love it. I spend every Monday with Maxim. That's his like day off, and he always asks me, "What are we making today, Mommy?"
So nice. So nice. If we didn't have TV in our life.
And it's so important to teach them these skills.
Yes.
Like nobody ever taught me how to do this. But imagine if we were just raised. No, I didn't even know that like regular people could bake bread.
I want to burn our TV.
This was like I thought baking bread was a professional skill. Like that only professionals could do. I had no idea that we could just do it. It seems actually insane for me to say that right now, but
we didn't grow up like that. We grew up with everything bought. Everything was just quick, easy access, easy this, fast food, like
And I actually thought that the reason why we did that was because like just regular people couldn't.
Yeah.
Like couldn't.
That's what they want you to think. But that's what they wanted you to think.
That's what they want you to think. But everybody
has
the
maker.
skills.
This is right. We can all do this.
Everybody has these skills.
Like even farming, growing our own stuff,
Yeah. This is crazy that we buy even so much of our food.
It's crazy.
Food actually
and it's being shipped from around the world, which is like the crazy thing. Like, someone in Venezuela is planting it's crazy. We've got to change this.
So that's looking amazing already. Very good.
Okay.
So that's good. So then just kind of like Here, we'll
Okay.
just make it look nice now.
Okay.
So just like kind of tuck some
Some
things
tension.
over, yeah. And then we'll leave it again then you leave it for the hour. And then every hour you're gonna do this stretch and fold. So basically you're just gonna like stretch it and fold it over, then turn it, stretch, now it's not stretchy, but like stretch it, fold it over, stretch it, fold it over 4 times, and then you leave it again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we'll leave that. Remember? Okay, so this is our new bread. So I'm gonna give one to you. And I'll take one too. Look at the bubbles. Okay, so we're gonna shape these now. So you can flip it over to the other side. You can use a little thingy if it helps you. Bench scraper.
It's a great tool.
Yeah.
Need one of these.
Okay, so we're just gonna make this into like a ball. So you're gonna kind of like pull it a little bit, stretch it a little bit, and fold it to the middle. And then again on the other side. This is like not my forte here. So there's some like really good professional people here. This is I'm still learning this.
Yeah, well, it's all practice.
Kind of like the same, and then flip it kind of over to make kind of like a little ball. And then you can just tuck in
so cute.
your things. Yeah, so then you flip it over. And then what you do to shape it and to build tension, I feel like I'm talking like an expert, but I actually don't.
You are now.
I'm so new to making this.
You've made a lot though.
So you want to build some tension to your dough. So you're gonna kind of cup it and you kind of pull and roll and like kind of tucking that under a little bit. So you do that a couple times, like maybe like you might have to do it like
so cute.
6
I don't know why
times
this
or
is like just like an
something.
adorable feeling.
It's like our little baby.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, it's perfect. You're so good. That's awesome. Okay, so then we'll let that kind of rest a little bit.
All right.
You can just scoop that and we'll let that rest. And then I'll show you.
So cute.
So you can actually just bake it like that.
Okay.
Really. You can just let it rest for a little bit and then bake it, but to get like an even better result, what you do, so the professionals have these things called Banneton baskets or something. I don't even know how to say it. I've only read the word. So it's like these little baskets. They're proofing baskets, and they line them with a cloth and then leave them in. I don't have that stuff, so I'm just using my bowl.
Okay.
And I'm just going to use a cloth. So we can do one like that. We'll let one rise a little bit longer.
Are we gonna try a design on one of them? Maybe?
Yeah, that's after.
Oh,
like
okay.
when you score it,
Okay.
you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just take your cloth and line your bowl with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get one of these guys. This is masa, or you can use rice flour. So this is just like a non-sticky flour. So this one's corn, just because that's what I have.
Yeah.
You can also use rice if you don't want to use.
Right. I know that feeling
flour.
like on a sourdough, you get kind of that powdery
So
exterior.
you kind of just like dust your thing like that.
Cool.
And then you scoop up your dough. There we go. Yeah, thank you. You don't want to have an accident. And then you just plop him in there and then let him rest in that one. And that kind of helps them hold their shape a little bit. So you can let that rise for another maybe like hour or something, and then it just becomes a really nice dough. Or if you're impatient like me, you can actually bake it. Yeah, there's a whole like process to doing
That's
it.
me too.
I don't do things. I think the recipe part is important for perfection. Like you have to get that kind of perfect, but then the baking, once you've got your dough, like it still turns out pretty good. So maybe we'll just like bake this one.
All right.
See how it goes, right? Okay, so
we can compare, I guess, to see the difference.
we can see it like that one. So now the oven's been heated up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a very hot oven, and my pot is in there too.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just put this.
Is it important that you preheat the pot in there?
Yeah, you want it to be really hot, and it has to have a lid. So you have to make sure you have an oven safe. It's called a Dutch oven. Okay. The kind of pot that I have. There's all kinds of fancy ones too, but that one you can use for soups and everything. So, yeah. that's in the oven heating up. And then I'll put this on a piece of parchment. So this is compostable parchment. And I try and reuse. I reuse it as much as I can before.
Yeah. Because I have reusable ones, but to be honest, I couldn't even use it for this recipe because it can't go that hot.
I have reusables one too, but I wouldn't use them for this.
Yeah.
Because it's, and you know what? I used to, when I was not making sourdoughs and just making like regular bread, I used to just put flour in the bottom. But then when I started making sourdough, I found the flour wasn't enough because it's quite a sticky dough sometimes. But now that I actually perfected the method a little bit, I think I actually could, I might try it next time with flour in the bottom. But the parchment works well and it's compostable and I use it a lot of times. So.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you have to pick your battles sometimes. Okay, so we have our very hot pot. Nobody touch this pot because you'll get seriously
I'm feeling the heat off of it
burned.
now. Yeah.
Burned. You have to be very careful with this part. Yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of plop it in there. And then you score it. So the scoring works best if you have like a very sharp knife, which I kind of don't. I usually just do kind of a cross thing.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes they do gorgeous ones, but you need a very sharp light knife or something called like a scoring tool.
Yeah.
So we'll just do it basic today. But this helps the bread like expand.
Right, it looks so good. Once it you have those slits where you got the stretchiness.
Yeah. When you build like really nice tension, so as you get better at doing it and you build lots of nice tension and make like a really amazing dough. Then you can get creative with your scoring and make really beautiful designs. Okay, so I'm going to reset this. We'll put it for 28 minutes. You get to know your oven. So usually 28 with the lid on. So put it back in the oven with the lid on. And then we'll take off the lid and look at it and see how much longer it needs.
Okay, fun.
So I think that's it, basically. So you have to start, it just takes some organization how to fit it into your life, but it's super worth it and it's actually pretty easy. I mean,
once you get in the groove.
Once you find a way to incorporate it.
Yeah,
so.
well, I think it's a perfect activity for, winter quarantine. It's like so cozy. It warms up the house.
For kids. My kids help me all the time.
That's
they
so
love
cool.
baking in the kitchen. They're always usually here.
I see that.
They would be here if they were home today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I can't wait. We're gonna see that when it comes out of the oven. So.
All right, so it's been 28 minutes. There we go. Careful, top.
Looks great.
So we'll leave it crisp up. It's looking a nice color, so maybe we'll just put it 5 minutes and check on it again. Okay. So, finished product.
Beauty.
Hello?
Great.
Yeah, that looks gorgeous.